Good evening. My name is Samantha Perez. I live at 224 Baker Street, and I am a senior at the University of Idaho, and I am currently serving as the Associated Students University of Idaho president. I was unable to attend the public hearing for planning and zoning. I made the tail end, so I wasn't able to testify at the last meeting, so I wanted to testify at this meeting and reiterate the student perspective. So as their elected official, I wanted to encourage you all to vote in favor of these amendments. I think overall, if we have a vibrant community that has these large retail establishments, then more students will be more likely to attend the University of Idaho, and so that's always a good thing. The University of Idaho is working on growing our enrollment to around 16,000, and so making it easier for these establishments to come to Moscow would overall be a good thing and help promote more students to come here. I know it can be scary to come to Moscow because it's a small town. That appealed to me. I'm from Rigby, Idaho, and so this was a large town to come for me. But some of those students that were drawing in from Seattle or Boise, some of those larger areas, would like to see Targets and Walmarts in Moscow. And so, again, my name is Samantha, and I just wanted to reiterate that student perspective, and I would urge the council to vote in favor of these amendments.
So, excuse me, just for clarification, the proposed amendments include a conditional use permitting requirement for 90,000 square feet and above. Is ASUI supportive of that?
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Mayor Cheney?
Thank you. Yes, Tim?
Is it permissible to ask a question?
If you're willing to field one, Samantha, is that all
You'll
right?
be nice to me.
I'm the
I assure
nastiest
you
guy
that-
on the
that
council.
Tim-
so.
Tim is nice to
Yeah,
everyone.
thank you.
Give it over to Tom.
yet.
Thank you. First of all, thank you for taking time from your busy schedule to come down here and speak before the council. Why would a student at the University of Idaho or the students at the University of Idaho want to see a Walmart or a Target or a Shopko or whatever the other ones that you spoke of? For what reason? Shopping?
I would say it's the convenience.
Convenience.
Right, and I think it's just easier for a student. It's like kind of like a one-stop shop. You go to Walmart. If you need school supplies, it's there. If you need bedding, it's there. And so I think those large retail establishments offer a variety of things in one store, and so it's easier for students in their busy schedule to just run into Walmart, pick up all those things really quick, and that it's really cheap to go to those stores. I know it's a lot of college students are on a budget, and so those large retail establishments provide the convenience, and also the cost is less.
Just one quickie follow-up. Thank you. I appreciate the response. I've kind of looked at the need for businesses like that in Moscow to provide college students jobs. Is that a possible consideration for these kinds of businesses?
Definitely.
Okay.
I think that's a definite advantage, and I think also having the comfort of a Walmart or a Target, I think a lot of students are familiar with those stores, and so it's comfortable for them to shop there. And also it is a great opportunity for employment for students where they're always looking for jobs. So
Thank you.
great. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank you for coming.
Jim Anderson, 1628 Hillcrest Drive in Moscow. I want to echo Marshall's statement and Bill Morshak's statement also. I agree with the recommendations of the Planning and Zoning Commission with the exception of the conditional use permit on the 90,000 square feet building. If the property is zoned properly, then why do you need a permit? You have the city staff, you have your design manual, and you have building codes that will take care of it. If a project requires rezoning, then you automatically have a public hearing on the thing. It's part of the process. We don't need any more regulations. Let's just let the free enterprise system work, and I suggest that you remove the conditional use permit altogether from the ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Anderson.
Mayor Cheney, members of the City Council and staff, Bob Hieronymus, 314 South Hayes. Also, I have one of those tricky last names, so I'll spell it for you. It's HieronYmus. I also am representing the Greater Moscow Alliance, and we did, as you referenced, Mayor, deliver a letter to you all earlier today. For the benefit of the audience and to read into the record, I'd like to do that now, if I may.
Please.
Dear Mayor Cheney and Council President Kraus, members of the Council, on behalf of the Greater Moscow Alliance Board of Directors and our 300-plus members, I'm following up my letter of June 16th supporting the lessening of requirements within the large retail establishment ordinance. While we are pleased to see the direction of the Planning and Zoning Commission's proposed changes, we ask that the City Council eliminate the conditional use permit requirement within the ordinance altogether. Were land use regulations not already in place, such public involvement at the development stage would be necessary. But we as a community have already considered and established such commercial zones for these types of uses. We believe less government involvement in the marketplace is a good thing, and therefore encourage you to remove the CUP from the LRE ordinance entirely. Thank you for your service to the community and your consideration of our request. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hieronymus. Others who'd like to testify tonight?
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Susan Wilson, 208 South Main Street, Suite Number 2. And I echo Marshall, Bill, Jimmy, and Bob's statements, and I wanted to highlight three different things. First of all, the conceptual redevelopment plan, I certainly have concerns. I think it needs to be eliminated. It includes a concept of what may or may not happen in the future, which is an additional requirement that's added to it. But what happens if somebody decides they want to build in the middle of their parcel and there isn't truly the connectivity or the networking that may or may not, be beneficial in the future? So what happens if staff or P&Z or council doesn't like that conceptual drawing? I mean, what position does that put an applicant in? And I think it's difficult, and I think it ties their hands, and it's written as though it is a requirement. They have to have some type of alternative development, and I'm very concerned. Like Bill said, it's too fuzzy. I think it needs to be eliminated. I also agree wholeheartedly with eliminating the CUP requirement. And along the same lines of the streamlining, I was concerned about the Planning and Zoning Commission reviewing the design manual. I think that the city staff is quite capable of doing it. I think the process needs to be streamlined, and that eliminating that additional review would be helpful for applicants. So, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wilson. Others who'd like to testify?
John Kimberling, business owner at 205 South Main. I've had the same privilege as you sitting in those chairs, and I know on occasions where similar topics came up, there were concerns in the community that liberalizing these standards could open the floodgates in Moscow. I just want to say I don't think that's going to happen. I think there's still a very good there will be, if you adopt these changes, a good process in place to assure that Moscow is not going to lose its sense of community, its character that we value so much. So I'm definitely in support of passage of this ordinance. I also wanted to mention that our chamber president, Steve Hacker, was intending to be here tonight, but something came up and he couldn't. I know the chamber spoke at the P&Z hearing, and also that the chamber board has discussed this and also sees value in the direction you're headed. Thank you.
Thank you, John.
Aaron Ament, 523 Veach. Mayor, councilors, thank you for the opportunity to speak before you today. I want to start out with a short quote from a friend and former colleague of mine, John Dickinson. It is the council's role to encourage business in the community to fit with the community. I think there's some misconception here. The large retail ordinance doesn't limit the ability of any business of any size to move into Moscow. What the ordinance does do is that it brings the people of Moscow and the citizens of Moscow into the process in a significant manner. This plan that we already have that you're amending was a product of public input, land use regulation, and a lot of compromise that went into this to get it where it is. I'd like to say that we already have predictability. We have the code. All someone has to do is look at it. I mean, that's predictability. Those great, I fail to understand the problem with the conditional use permit. There's 7 criteria and standards of approval or denial that need to be met. It's short, so I'm going to share it with you. Number 1, the proposed use will not endanger the public health or safety if located where proposed, and that the use will not result in conditions which will tend to generate nuisances, including but not limited to noise, dust, glare, vibrations, odors, and the like. Number 2, the proposed use meets all applicable development standards of the zoning code. Number 3, the use will not be injurious or detrimental to adjoining properties or the neighborhood. Number 4, the proposed use is a public necessity or is justified by the applicant and deemed by the Board of Adjustment to be of benefit to the public. 5, the character of the proposed use, if developed according to the plan as submitted, will be in harmony with the area in which it is to be located. Number 6, the proposed use will not endanger the public health or safety. Number 7, the proposed use will not be in conflict with the comprehensive plan. Doesn't sound very onerous to me. I think this idea that if we leave big business alone, that they will do the right thing is naive at best. I think all you need to do is look at the state of our economy, our national economy. We do need to have rules. The rules have to be reasonable and not prohibitive. And I do not believe that these are. I believe that if there is a need that is seen for a business opportunity in this city, that we have people that will meet that if it's enough to sustain their business. I don't understand. I just think that's correct. What I've heard today, and the only people that I have heard regularly talk about Moscow's being unfriendly to business are in the room with me today. I hear that over and over and over again, and I sometimes wonder what is the purpose of dissing the town continually and relentlessly. I just don't understand it. I don't think that we're unfriendly to business in this town. I know of no one that is set out to make the town unfriendly to business. You need to remember that studies have shown that local businesses contribute more to the local economy than do large-scale national chain stores, to the tune of about 30 cents on the dollar spent. That's 30 cents more that will stay in our community and circulate in our community for things like advertising, for one, rather than having it shipped in. It's just there are opportunities that come for the community from local businesses. I was passed something that I'm just going to share with you that came to me from another citizen quickly, and it's just a few lines. And we're just wondering, at least I know in my day, people came to the university for a quality education. Do students really choose a school based on their shopping opportunities at this point? I think that's a sad reflection on the state of our universities. It is not the city's job to make life easy for developers, but to represent the citizens and they have already shown their concern and preference when the large-scale retail establishment bill came through. And once again, these large businesses are a proven drain on local businesses with reference to Saturday's daily news. So again, I think that a business that comes into this town I think they have every right to be here. But I think that they need to join the town and the city that we already have, rather than trying to recreate it in some image that's more pleasing to them. When this ordinance was originally passed, we didn't have a supercenter in Pullman. We didn't have an expanded Walmart in Moscow. Is there no use in waiting a little while to see how that shakes out and what effect that has on our economy before we open the door to anyone to be here under any conditions that they want to be here? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Aaron. Others who'd like to testify tonight? Since we did give the privilege of reading one of the letters, Stephanie, would you read the other one, the email that we received, just for balance tonight?
Friends, we regret that we are out of town and unable to attend the public hearing this evening. Please accept this testimony for the public hearing. My husband, Paul, and I are very strongly against removing the CUP public hearing requirement for LRDs of 90,000 or more. In fact, we think the cutoff should be 60,000 because a development of, say, 85,000 would still be almost as large as the Palouse Mall and thus would get through without a CUP. Here are our reasons. Large-scale commercial developments will greatly affect our community through traffic and economic impact and possible changes to the comp plan. Therefore, the public should be allowed input. A public meeting would not suffice. Telling us what is going to happen is not the same as listening to public concerns. We need a process with legal safeguards for the public. We require a CUP for residential developments. We should also have one for commercial developments. I did not object to Super Walmart because I am against Walmart per se, but because of the proposed location and the fact that the plan called for development of the entire parcel along the Troy Highway for box stores, causing traffic congestion and tipping of the scale of sales outlets from the west to the east side of Moscow. I know that some members of our community would like more shopping choices, but I am sure that most of these people are also treasure a quality of life. We must guard against developing like 21st Street, Thane Road in Lewiston. Lots of choices, but also empty stores, snarled traffic, and a very struggling downtown. I hear that people would favor dropping requirements for a Target store. I don't think that's true. It's just an assumption maybe based on what just a few or maybe one or two people have said. Here in Boulder, where I am visiting, a new mall went in and the downtown Crossroads Mall failed, leaving empty stores for 15 years. Some are starting to fill with non-sales related offices, but it is still a blighted area. People say Moscow needs to be business friendly. We say businesses wishing to locate in our community should be Moscow friendly and should not mind input from the people they want as customers. Thank you for considering this testimony. Joanne and Paul Munita, 203 South Howard, Moscow.
Thank you, Stephanie. And seeing no one else come forward then, one person's coming forward. Okay.
David Pierce, 716 East F Street. I have mixed feelings about parts of this ordinance. In the first place, I think with the design manual as we have it, you've eliminated a great many of the kinds of questions that the public might have. I think that's a very good step forward. That doesn't completely solve the problem, however. I have two major things that I think continue to be problems. One is the fact that all we have now for anything except something over 90,000 square feet is a neighborhood meeting. That's totally unsatisfactory because the neighborhood meeting is not run by the city. It is run by the developer. It is directed by the developer. It does not give the public, even if they happen to know that it's going to happen and get there, the opportunity to really ask the thought-provoking questions. And there's no requirement for the developer to respond to any of those things, either there, any of their questions either there or here in front of the council or anywhere else. So you're not getting the give and take that needs to be there. There isn't even a requirement that there be a written report of what happens at that neighborhood meeting that's available so that the public can be reasonably satisfied that what happened there is conveyed accurately to the council. This is really why I think we need the CUP for all of them, because the only place that you really have an opportunity to have the public discuss the whole thing, the whole project with government is right here at a public hearing. And that's important. The only way for the public to have a voice is to have that, the only way for the public to voice is to have it come to the government with its concerns. You can't take the concerns of the public and just take them back to the developer. They need to be heard by government, and that's you or the Planning and Zoning Commission. I want to make a comment about this unfriendly to business. I hear it again and again and again, and it seems to me that when these people say that, what they're saying is, if we can't do just what we want, the way we want it, then you are unfriendly to us as businesses. Well, maybe that's true, if that's what we want. If we want anybody to be able to come in here and do anything they want, then yes, we are unfriendly to business. And I think that's the way it ought to be. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Pierce.
Chris Murray, 2521 at Tawny Drive. First thing I want to tell you tonight is the Giants are winning, so that's very positive.
I feel so much better now.
Yeah, I knew you would, Sue. I would just like to say that a vibrant community and a vibrant university and a college town like ours go hand in hand. And I'd like to thank you all for your service, the city staff for their service, and the commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Murray.